Hi everybody, I'm here today with the beautiful Jane Dicken. It's a joy to bring her here today to talk to you. She's just starting a new phase in her life, if you like, of discovery due to an illness.
Yeah.
So I won't take up any more time on it because Jane has the best description of what it is for her.
Okay.
So I'll let you just
Okay. Well,
describe it.
I'll do my best. I had a viral illness which led to encephalitis, which is a viral inflammation of the brain. And so I was pretty ill, and I was in hospital for nearly 3 weeks to start with, and then I had to go back into hospital with a second version of encephalitis, which was the beginnings of autoimmune encephalitis. So between September and December last year, I was in and out of hospital. And since then, I've been in convalescence, I think is the best term, not one that we use these days, but been off work and on medication, which I'm now off for because anesthesia medication, because I had a seizure. So within recovering from the insult to the brain, I suppose there's been an awful lot of changes within my being, my psyche, my outlook, my approach, my understanding of things.
I've
That's it in a nutshell.
I've certainly noticed that because, I mean, there's still things that are the same, but you were very much more analytical in there.
It was more head than heart.
But now it's more heart analysis, I think.
I think it's to do with the fact that it was a particular area of the brain. It was the left temporal lobe, which is to do with the rational thinking, analytical side of consciousness, and the right side, which is the creative side, and the artistic side, and the linguistic side, had to step in a bit, or rather a lot, in fact. So yes, there was definitely a change.
Yeah, and I've noticed you're softer as well in your way of looking at things.
Maybe, yeah. I think it stops you in your tracks when you have something like this anyway, and you have to be very still. You can't be busy, and we often use busyness in order to not address what's at the core. Yeah, and so it's almost as if somebody said, right, you're not paying attention here. Take that. This will make you pay attention. Yeah. And it has felt like that. I've been very lucky because of what I had being incredibly serious for a lot of people. I was treated very quickly and effectively through the NHS medically. I've been very, very lucky. Sometimes that's not always the case with what I've had and what other people had similarly.
On this note, it's one of the reasons I've asked you to come here, because you've been blessed with a swift recovery and a very good one.
So far.
And which
I don't take anything for granted anymore. It's been interesting in that you can't look too far ahead. I think
it's an age to be in the moment, hasn't it?
It does. It really does. Yeah, you have to be.
And have gratitude as well for the small things.
It's been a lesson in just noticing things around as they happen more than trying to plan and look ahead and forget about the here and now. It's about being, as they say, in the present.
Yeah. And what I've noticed as well is you've grown in a sensory sense, in a way that you connect with people and you can see who they are a bit more, and connect with their genuineness or not a bit more. It's expanded your consciousness, in other words.
It's made me, I likened it to a jar of marbles. I mean, we talk about losing our marbles, don't we, anyway, to do with the brain. And the lid came off the jar and all the marbles were shaken up, and the ones that were on the top kind of came out, and the ones that had been pressed down at the bottom came up and went, okay, now you're going to actually recognize and deal with and the authentic kind of person that you've been repressing, maybe because you've been, I don't know, looking after other things, people pleasing or whatever it might be, getting on with the life that you thought you should be getting on with, but actually underneath all of that there's more, and that often we don't get the opportunity to take the lid off that jar and explore those marbles underneath.
That's very true. That's very true.
And I think that's what this did. It rearranged all of that.
Yeah, it brought your beauty out to be seen. On the
It's
soul level.
It's challenged me to recognise things that I didn't particularly, not that I didn't want to recognise, I just haven't made time. Maybe I've been going down another path, and it's almost as if this path I was going down wasn't quite the right path. So something's gone right. It's this direction now.
Yeah.
But in quite a unexpected way.
Yeah. Quite often swift expansions do happen in really quite dramatic ways.
Okay.
Yeah. I've known a few that do, that have. And then it's kind of all to do with the integration and stuff afterwards of what's happened. But one of the things actually that you're able to do, because you've been so versed with the swiftness of your recovery, is be there as a support mechanism or person support for others that are going through the same, but maybe not as swift as yourself. And what is your experience with the medical field? Because quite often they come in with a picture of what you need to fit in to.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. In broad terms, then, the NHS was fantastic medically in diagnosing and treating medical condition, in a way that even 10, 15 years ago they wouldn't have been able to do. So I'm very, very grateful for the care that I had, or I wouldn't be here. So that was all wonderful. When it comes to the brain, they know the mechanics of the brain as much as they do know. Fortunately, they can treat the brain much more than they used to be able to. But there are certain areas of the brain they don't understand, and they struggled a bit with some of what they called complicated and complex characteristics that I was evidencing, for want of a better word. The consultant wasn't quite sure how to explain what he called auditory hallucinations. And so between the psychologist, the psychiatrist, and the consultant in the neurology department, they were unable really to encapsulate in any of their medical opinion or knowledge or understanding or explanation exactly what I was experiencing. And besides scaring me to death with the description, auditory hallucinations, which obviously when you read up, it's not a positive experience to have that happen to you, and it didn't describe what had happened to me at all.
I mean, that's an issue. Words are just words. This is the point that we're going to make across now. and labels are just labels.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't define you.
No, they don't.
They're, you know, it's
Mhm.
when something's puzzling, they just
Yeah.
take out a textbook and give the nearest label they can, but it's not
Which
the
is
right one
within their capacity to do so.
Yeah.
And you know, I wouldn't say that I had any care in the NHS that wasn't the best that they could give
Yeah.
within their remit.
Yeah.
But this was slightly outside of
Mm.
anything they could explain
Yeah.
satisfactorily to themselves or to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, even from my own experience, I have always had kind of well, it's so difficult to put it in a way that is understandable because when you're of spirit, I call it have conference with God.
Mm-hmm.
I do go deep within myself and I just talk with the formless oneness, the source, God, whatever it is for you. I talk to them as though they're a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I do hear answers.
Mm-hmm.
I hear responses. And this is what I do.
Okay.
But when somebody hasn't been like that,
Yeah.
and they come back from an illness, and all of a sudden they can, if you like, have conference with God. This can, well, obviously it's usually given a label, and that's the label that Jane is talking about, auditory hallucinations. It's not. There are many, many people out there that do have this kind of conversing going on, and it's not abnormal. It's actually part of the normality, and the higher your conscious awareness is, the more likely you are to have this conversation going on with the oneness or God or whatever it is for you. But that's what it is that we're talking about. I do it. I have lots of friends that do it. And it's something that Jane's been able to do since that she's recovered from this illness. And you know, it's not an abnormal thing. I'm just going to make everybody aware of it. And you know, so the labels, you don't have to take labels
are not helpful.
No,
especially when they're misapplied, as
Yeah.
it was in my case. And in the end, they just gave up and said, well, we can't answer it. And actually, it seems to be a positive thing for you. So, you know, go away and enjoy your experience and interpret it in a way that works for you. That's the conclusion that they came to, which was good, but it took a while to get there. As the psychologist said, who was very open-minded to the whole thing, and she was quite cross with the consultant, not cross, but she kind of said, I wish they wouldn't medicalise everything, she said, which was great. And she sort of prefaced the meeting with me by saying, you know, there are stranger things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of, and all of that. And I think she truly believes that. So it was a safe space then with her to talk about it.
Yeah. So I think this is an important part, because there's so many people out there that think they're abnormal because they can talk with the oneness or God or whatever it is for you. You call it what you want to call it, what resonates with you in the moment of, but it's not I'm going to reiterate it, it's not abnormal. But if it's a sudden occurrence,
it can feel a bit strange.
Yes.
Yeah, I think personally, obviously, everybody's different, everyone's individual, everyone experiences things in their own separate way, and sometimes it's hard to find the words to explain what you're experiencing if it's something that you've never experienced before. So, and people say, do you hear voices? And it's like a dialogue in my head. We all talk to ourselves in our head silently. We call it an internal dialogue. It's actually an internal monologue when you speak to yourself, but when you're genuinely talking to another person, or being, or someone else, it becomes a dialogue, a conversation, and that is how I experience it, as a conversation. But it's in my head, so I don't hear anything. Yeah, it's what. Otherwise, if we all heard our own internal monologues, the world would be a very noisy place. Wouldn't it? It would. Indeed. That film, What's She Really Thinking? That Mel Gibson film. What do women really want?
What do women
hear?
want?
You could hear all the women's thoughts, couldn't you? It would be like that. It would be like that. It's not like that.
Yeah.
Don't hear voices. But I do have a communication with a particular person who I knew and who passed away, and who had a gift, and when he was alive he had this ability which he shared with me, and it was very clear that it was genuine and authentic, and so he's come back to help me through this bit. And one of the interesting things, I suppose, and I don't want to go into too much detail about it, but because when we were spending time together, it was 20 years ago now, I was living in Spain, he was Spanish, and so the conversation on his behalf is in Spanish, which is why I know it's not me, because my Spanish was never that good. It's getting better now. I have to use Google Translate a lot. And so the conversations are very authentic in terms of like we're talking now. It's a conversation. And because the term auditory hallucination was so unwelcome, I said, okay, well, what do we call this? In Spanish, charlamente means mind chat, which is a lovely term. It's not my term.
It's the same way it sounds in Spanish as well, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. It's been some things that are said, and I think, gosh, it doesn't sound half as well in English as it does in Spanish. I'd never have thought to say that, probably even in English, but in Spanish it sounds even better.
Yeah, it does.
So that's what we have. We have charlamente.
Yeah. So and this is a wonderful way in which you can support people that not just that have had the same thing as you, but people that are just having this experience that don't understand.
You have something out of the ordinary.
You have a listening ear for them. Yeah.
I think it makes you realise that we judge other people all the time, don't we, without realising sometimes how much we do. And I'm standing in judgment of my own self on this sometimes, because there's still part of me that thinks you do sound like I've completely lost the plot when you talk about this, but actually, this is part of who I am and what I am and how I am. And it feels okay, and it's good, and it's positive, and it's real, and it's another dimension to the whole of me.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful part,
and it has been very positive every time. Everything about it has been positive, which is why I know that it's the person that I know. And knew. Because when you know somebody, and it's that person.
Yes. And that's it's nice to have that kind of integration.
Yes, it is an integration, isn't it? And you described it in a way that other people have obviously failed to do through, talking to me.
Yeah, many call it walking. Yeah, because it's an integration of two as well.
Yes, and actually, there was a comment made about that. There's been several comments made about the fact that it's if I'm trying to decide to do something and I'm struggling with the positive or the negative of doing that thing, the advice might be, for example, ignore me, because he'll say, do it this way, and I'll be like, I'm ignoring you, I don't want to do it, and he'll say, ignore me, you're ignoring yourself. And there is that sense of, is it two in one kind of thing, which we do on our own anyway. We have an internal monologue, about we'll prevaricate and we'll make excuses and all of that. But when there's somebody there with you saying, come on, and it's not yourself, it's kind of, it's lovely. It's been really, really nice. Yeah, because it's kind of supporting. It's incredibly supportive, as he always was. Yeah. So, yes. And it's his sense of humour, and it's his turn of phrase, as I say, in my Spanish. I'm not fluent. And sometimes when I look these things up, I'm like, oh, that's what that meant. Yeah. Now I understand. Sometimes I get it completely wrong. So when you're recovering, because you've been recovering for a year now, haven't you? From anything, not just what James had, but anything, and you have this experience, it's absolutely normal. It is. It takes a bit of getting used to. It does, if you've not been used to it. Yes, but it is normal. And as humanity evolves and grows and expands, it will be understood. That actually certain types of illnesses and people just, kind of have NDEs, if you like, or seizures or things, and come back, they're usually expanded in a way that just allows for more awareness, doesn't it? It just gives you. I think it's an unexpected awareness, very much so. And obviously, having not experienced anything like this in my life remotely before, in a clear way, so to look back and think, maybe pick things up here and there, but you'd never sort of give any credibility to it. I can't ignore this, and it's totally credible. In my mind is cognitively, as I say, I was very lucky. I know that I can analyse this in a cognitive way, and it stands up. If that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
I'm not somebody who's ever taken to fanciful thinking or making things up out of the blue or whatever.
Well, tell them what you did beforehand, so that
teaching. Used to using knowledge and information and explaining facts and things, not nebulous airy-fairy stuff. So people might say, well, you've just got a very vivid imagination because you're using the right side of your brain now. And I would say there's been too many things that have been proven as part of this conversation that make it fact. They just do. It's not least that it's a conversation in another language. It's not my language. And I did say, why don't we speak in English? And it's more fun speaking in Spanish to you because we like speaking in Spanish. But also it proves the point that it's another person's voice
Yeah.
My voice can't hear anything. Expression, sense of humour, observations. If I lose something, it's there, you know. It's that. Can tell me where I put it, like my glasses in the park. They're by the pavilion. Well, there isn't a pavilion in the park, but there is a little docker that looks like the pavilion, and there they were. And when I took a picture of it, there was an orb over the glasses. And I have a notebook full of conversation. And I can give little snippets to people, and people go, "Oh, that's nice, you've made it up." But I have a notebook of conversations, and it covers all sorts of things, just like we're covering now.
So this is wonderful for many people out there that will have been, you know, not had not been blessed to have a friend like me that is just can go, "Oh, welcome to my world."
Well, indeed, because obviously the world at large, they humour this kind of thing to a lesser or greater degree, and it's interesting how some people will kind of go, "Well, that's very interesting, right, what's the time, must go," or some people are genuinely interested in it, and then they want to analyse it and try and, you know, explain it in a way that they understand. So there's an awful lot in between the two of those things. And obviously, you know, I've had to spend quite a lot of time in my left side of my head thinking, what on earth is going on here? But then when it happens, it's as normal as talking to you. It's just a conversation. And a very nice one. Always. Even though sometimes I'm challenged on things I don't want to hear. I had an argument with my mother, and it was, "Can you, my mother? Buena mama. A lovely mum. Naughty always. Don't forget." All right. She's really annoying me. That kind of thing.
That's good. They're a good reminder of gratitude. That's you know.
Well, it's a friend, isn't it? Who's got your interests at heart, and
that's
to
it.
support you, and that's it. As he always did and always was. No change.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that you want to add to everybody?
I suppose all I would say is that don't expect. Oh, no, let me rephrase that. Is to expect the unexpected sometimes, and also that your world doesn't necessarily have to match up to anyone else's idea of what it should be. If it's right for you and it feels authentic to you, then that's how you need to be.
Absolutely. That's a very perfect message there, actually, to finish on. The authenticity of just being you, whatever that is absolutely crucial. And you know, you can connect with the interview and with James through the website www.consciouslivingglobal.net, and she'll love to help you if you need to just have that little bit of understanding.
If I can. Obviously, you know, it's a specific experience that I've had, and possibly a fairly unusual one. That is how it has.
There'll be more people out there than you think that have similar ones that would love to have that recognition of support. Because they may not, as I say, not everyone is lucky enough to have a friend that goes, "Welcome to my world, hooray!" So you can help many people, and I hope this interview has helped many people. I've been very lucky that I've been able to just turn up and do this one like this over a cup of tea. Cheers, everybody. And bye for now.